So we got to see if people can find us again.
Oh, man.
I'm going to have such a mess on YouTube.
You're going to have to be deleting file after file.
Yep. And so Jay Pauly found us right away.
Uh,
I like his comment.
all right, chat. Oh, I can't see chats. Comments? Really? There we go. Oh, okay, I can see the comments now.
All right, Jay Pauly and Chuck, the big question is, can you hear both of us? Do we have an echo? Are we good?
Can you hear me now, Jay? How about you, Chuck?
Fingers crossed. It's working. Yes, sounds good. No echo. Love it.
See, can you still see me? Because I literally can't see anyone anymore.
You froze for a second. Can you see us now?
Let me try. There we go. Now I can see you.
Okay.
I can choose between seeing chat or seeing you. Oh. I can't have both.
I can only imagine you would definitely choose chat over seeing me.
Well, the problem was the chat stopped updating.
Oh, okay. So,
hey, right. Jay, can you type something in chat and see if it's showing up now?
Yeah, there's a bunch in the chat right now.
Yeah, I can do chat, but it had Jay Pauly and then it disappeared. So I'm locked out of chat. I'm not going to worry about it. You'll tell me if there's anything important.
Okay.
The last thing I want to do is disconnect this.
Yeah, no kidding. Can you see the screen and see the
banners?
Jay. Okay. And so I'll try to keep up with that as we go. So let's go back to the beginning as to why you wanted to do this live stream to begin with.
Which beginning? I'm forgetting.
We were going to talk about the roads around here and riding the thin lines.
Yes.
In the chat. He knows them even better than I do, and so he can help.
So what I was hoping to do was to be able to talk to Patrick, since he's an hour-ish from my property in Tennessee. I've never really had an opportunity to spend much time riding down there, though I will be at the end of this summer. So I thought I should touch base with Patrick, someone who has ridden in the national forests nearby, on the dirt roads, but also on the roads. It helps that you're someone who's ridden everything in the area. So why not find out, where should I be going?
Okay.
I've got limited time. How well should I be spending it? Where should I go?
Well, each ride is going to be time dependent and also going to be dependent on, do you want to ride dirt? Do you want to ride pavement on that particular day? I do know a lot of the area. I tend to go from my home here in the very extreme western part of North Carolina into Coke County, Tennessee, when I do most of my riding, because that's much closer to me than, say the Tail of the Dragon, say anything to even toward Asheville. Now I can go the Blue Ridge Parkway, which I do a lot, but that's kind of going the opposite direction of where your property is. As far as the roads in and around where you are, you mentioned it earlier, the Cherokee National Forest is fantastic. All those Forest Service roads, just miles upon miles upon miles. And it stretches out all the way from, very close to where I am, near Hot Springs, North Carolina, and crosses into Tennessee almost immediately. There's, have you ever heard of Max Patch?
I have not.
Okay. Max Patch is a bald. It's right on the Appalachian Trail, and the dirt roads, Forest Service roads, to bring you up to a parking area where you can hike up to the top of this bald, and you have a 360-degree view. There's nothing in the way when you're there on this bald, and it's amazing. I mean, the view is incredible, and like I said, it's right on the Appalachian Trail. And it's right in the Pisgah Forest, very close to Cherokee National Forest.
Now, see, I should have told you what I like to do when I'm riding. And you stumbled right into it there. I tend to do two types of rides when I'm not on a trip. I'll get home from work and I have a series of loops here in New York, and I need to develop some of those in Tennessee.
Yep.
Get home, spend an hour. I have loops between 30 minutes and 2 hours.
Yep.
But what I like to do on the weekends is find a destination like a mountaintop, a waterfall, a hike that I can do and then return to the bike. So that is absolutely what I'm looking for. And I'm hoping I can get in the Cherokee National Forest. Now, the problem I have had when I went there, and I need your help to get around, is the portion of the Cherokee National Forest closest to me is all private homes. So as soon as you get into the forest, it's like residential and then blocked off. I spent like 2 hours before I found a decent service road that actually wasn't blocked off and let you through.
Ah, okay. And unfortunately, I'm probably not gonna be able to help you with that because I've not run into that. So I don't
No,
think I've been in that exact area that you've been in.
by
Um,
Greenville is where I went in.
okay. Now, off of 107, do you think? Tennessee 107?
I do not recall. I know that I was going up towards Greenville, and then I'm like, I'm so close to the forest entrances. You've got the signs and it's mentioning it. So I hopped right in. I
Mhm.
can't say what I was on. It was last summer.
Okay. On one end of where I go into the Pisgah National Forest, and eventually it will turn into the Cherokee National Forest. Um, when I get over to Tennessee and I get over near, there's a road called Tennessee 107, which kind of goes up from the main road 2570, which is the main road that goes from Hot Springs into Newport, Tennessee. This Tennessee 107 shoots from there near Del Rio, Tennessee, all the way up into Greenville. And I ride that road a lot. It's a paved road. But off to the right is a lot of different little entrances into the forest again. And yes, there were a couple of them where you're on what appears to be a driveway with a couple of homes on it. But if it's the same road you're thinking of, um, it's not a dead end. It's not a driveway. You go past those homes and you go up into the forest. Some of the latest videos I did where I was talking about storm damage and camping was right in that area. I came off of that 107 and I went into the national forest there and I just riding around exploring. If you're looking for like destinations when we're riding, like on a weekend, if you happen to be down and have a day, there's some fire towers that are around.
Yeah, something like that. I love a destination. I
Okay.
want to go someplace, preferably with a view, and then ride home afterwards. The
Okay.
perfect way to spend a day.
It is. And Roger from Riding the Thing Lines, he'll probably put in here. A lot of times I go and I stop when I need fuel. I don't even stop to do the filming. I like to go. So when you're here, I'll have to figure out the destinations and make that part of the process when we do it. Um,
Perfect.
there's a really cool place called Buzzard's Roost, and it's off of one of the Forest Service roads. It's outside of Martha Sundquist State Forest, which is also fairly close to Max Patch, but you kind of head off into that forest. And there's a ton of really cool, fun dirt roads in there that some of them are actually a lot rougher than just a dirt gravel road. They're a lot more fun, a lot more challenging. Probably nothing like what I've seen you do out in the mud out there on the power lines, but that's okay. I'm old. I don't want to pick my bike up much. But it's still a ton of fun. And Buzzard's Roost, if you follow some of the Forest Service roads, it's really hard to find. As Roger will tell you, he tried to lead us there not too long ago. We went by it like 5 times before we actually found it and stopped. You walk down this really steep embankment, and then you walk out a little bit, and you're thousands of feet up in the air overlooking 40. I don't know if you've been on I-40 going between North Carolina and Tennessee. There's a
Oh yeah.
tunnel. Yeah. If you've been through that tunnel, this overlook looks at both sides of the tunnel. You can see the
Oh,
river, the road that goes around the tunnel, and both ends of the tunnel. You're
now
that
see,
high up. And
That's a
there's
reason you need to talk to locals. I
yes,
mean, I've been through that tunnel a half a dozen times. I had no idea there was a way to climb up and have a view.
yeah,
That's a
well, the view
destination
is
that I would never stumble onto on my own.
yeah, the view is actually opposite. You're looking down at the tunnel, and I mean it's just incredible, and you're so far up. But the coolest thing about it is it's completely undeveloped. There's no walkways, there's no guardrails, there's nothing there. You could literally walk off and go flying before you hit the ground. It's
Whoa.
just, um, I think that's part of the allure of it is that there's no safety. There's
Right.
nothing
It's
there.
nice and natural.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's up to your dumb butt whether you're gonna live or die. Um,
As it should be.
right.
Survival of the
Exactly.
fittest.
Yep. And so it's just one of the many things that, like you just said, you would have no idea it was there
Yeah.
unless somebody brings you there.
Here in New York, we have the Grafton Forest, which butts against the Pittstown Forest, which butts against some kind of wildlife preserve I don't even know the name of. And you see people post, is there any place to ride without pavement? And these are people that live in the area or are coming to the area. And unless you're a rider that's familiar with them, you'd never know they're there. So that's why I do my best to tell people, oh yeah, you go here, you go to Route 2, you turn off at the forest overlook, look at
Mhm.
the walking path, ignore it, go to the right and ride your motorcycle down there. There's now 100 miles of logging roads for you to ride on. You'll die before you ride them all. But most people don't know they're there. And that's
Yeah.
like when I'm in Tennessee, it's like I just got to find local people because I'm sure there are places to go, but you're not going to stumble on them that easily on your own.
Right. And that's exactly true.
Yeah.
And I posted Greg's little comment here. There's a ton of old graveyards and homesteads around. But again, I tend to ride by a lot of them. I tend not to take the time to explore these things. And so um, I know they're there. I just don't see a lot of them. Some of them are preserved. There's a place up near Catalucci, which is where they reintroduced the elk. And they've got like these old homesteads that you can actually go in and tour and visit. And there's a lot of things like that, like even on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Greg and Tim did the Smoky Mountain 1000, and they ended up going right by Max Patch and went through a lot of the areas around that. The Blue Ridge Parkway, like I said, has a bunch of stuff on there, old homesteads, and they actually have museums and stuff like that that talk about it. But yeah, I ride by a ton of abandoned homes, ton of old graveyards, and Roger and I even on occasion or two, will be like, hey, we should check that out, and then we drive right by.
Well, that's
But yeah,
part of it. If you have a destination, it's hard to say, let's stop here, let's stop there. You'll never get to your destination.
right, yep, exactly. And for me, I want to ride and just enjoy the ride more
Yeah.
than the stopping to do YouTube, the stopping to check things out along the way. Occasionally, I like to do that, but for the most part, it's like I just want hours of riding to clear my head and relax, and um, don't get myself stressed out by getting lost on a road that I can't handle.
Well, let me chime in on two things there. One, despite the fact that I do post a lot of YouTube videos, especially during the summer, I record maybe 1 out of 15 rides.
Mhm.
When I'm riding my bike, I'm either riding it to do YouTube or I'm riding it for the ride.
Right.
And most of the time, I'm not riding for YouTube. I have fun with it. I enjoy it. I love to go out and say, ooh, today I'm going to go here and I'm going to do that. But again, 14, 15 rides in between filming because I'd rather just let go of the work day. I know you don't know what that's like anymore, but let go of the work day
I
and
remember,
enjoy myself.
and I understand that completely. Even when I bring the cameras,
Yeah.
a lot of times I don't turn them on. I'll I'll ride 4 or 5 hours in one day and record for half an hour. And the rest of the time is just for me.
I purposely don't bring them.
Mhm.
I have a problem with self-control. Like if I buy a bag of Oreos, I eat a bag of Oreos. But if I buy a little bag of Oreos, I eat a little bag of Oreos. Same thing with my cameras. If they're with me, it sits in the back of my head. Should I pull my camera out? Should I turn my camera on? Should I stop here? I just leave them at home. They sit in a little black case, and I just enjoy myself. And occasionally I complain, oh, I don't have my camera with me. But then I can always pull a phone out,
Right.
Self-control, I
I've
don't have
done
any.
a lot of rides without bringing the cameras, but I've done a lot of rides where I've had the cameras and not had them on. Funny story is, well, kind of funny. I was heading up that 2570 and I was going to take some more back roads. I was on the Goldwing. It was Thanksgiving a couple of years ago. And I didn't have my cameras on. They were with me, but I didn't have them on. And I came across a bridge that had black ice on it. And it was 40 degrees. I did not expect that. But I came around the corner and I had a buddy behind me and the bike just spun. And the guy behind me said that it looked like a carnival ride with all the sparks flying. Minimal damage to the bike. I didn't get hurt at all. But that would have made some really good video.
Yeah. Do you follow Randomly Trees?
Not much. I mean, I know who he is, of course, through your videos and stuff.
Yeah. Rob will know. He's doing a series right now of our ride from the Pacific Northwest to Custer, South Dakota. In probably 2 videos, he's going to come to where he and I got up in the morning. And by morning, I mean 5 a.m., pitch black, and rode into Yellowstone. And we're like talking over comms and we're having a good time. And there's this almost roundabout. And I'm in front of him and I'm chatting. And all of a sudden, I hit the black ice. And the back end, I saw my panniers come around, panicking. And that was the time I wish both of us had had our cameras on for that. Because I was like, my hands were, I was saved by traction control on my VStrom because all I could do is watch my bike slide.
Yep. Yeah,
and I do regret not having my camera on then.
And that was the same with me with the Goldwing. It's such an unusual feeling to have that back end coming out to where you can see it. That just, and on a Goldwing is like, oh, this is gonna be bad.
Yeah, because you're attached to 1,000 pounds that you now realize you're no longer in control of.
Exactly. Yep. But I rode it until once it was spinning and throwing up the sparks, it actually gained a little bit of speed. I must have whiskey throttled it and took off from out from under me. And so then I was kind of just laying there like, what just happened? But again, the only real damage it did, it tore up my tire, my rear tire. Yeah. Other than that, it was nothing. But sure freaked out my buddy that was riding behind me. If
my bike burns to the ground, as long as I can stand up at the end, I'm okay with it. That's all that matters. A bike is a thing. Even if you love your bike the way you do, it's just a thing. As long as you're standing, that's it. Ask Greg. Greg knows that. He loved his bike, but that doesn't matter. All that matters is that Greg got up and he got a new bike.
And that's just what I was going to talk about, was the fact that, someone like him is a perfect example of why, we got to appreciate what we're doing. And the bike doesn't matter. We could end up in a situation where we have to go through what he's been going through. So, destroying the bike versus going through what he went through, destroy the bike every day.
It's just a thing. It's just a thing. I love it while I have it, but someday it'll be gone. And as long as I'm okay, it can be gone.
Yep. I like what Jay Pauly said. We keep dunking it in the water. And a lot of that dunking in the water is from that area between you and I. That Martha Sundquist State Forest that has quite a few little stream crossings. Nothing like what you did with Greg and Tim down on the Scar and all that. But
yeah, if you want water, work your way to South Carolina and tell Greg, hey, show me some water crossings. That man just finds his way. Yeah. We're on the Smoky Mountain 500. We're following our tracks. And Greg stops and he goes, the Smoky Mountain 500 goes that way. but the good water crossings are that way. So let's go that way.
Yeah, yeah,
And he was absolutely right. The good water crossings were that way.
yeah. I actually have not done the Smoky Mountain 500 yet. Roger did most of it one time in the pouring rain. And I was just, I was retired at that point. I didn't want to do it. And so I haven't done it yet, but that looks like a fun ride, especially that one long water crossing where, you know, it's
Oh,
not
I hated that water crossing. I was
Why?
3/4 of the way through and then my bike fell over. Sorry, I fell over on my bike.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, you know, that one didn't seem too bad to me because it seems like it's fairly shallow the whole way. But that one, what's it, Charlie's Creek, the one with the grooves in the rock?
That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Greg took us to that. He told us what it would be like, and it was great. I would recommend, I would not have enjoyed the Smoky Mountain 500 as much if I hadn't been with Greg and Timmy, who had already been there before.
Right.
Because Greg was able to tell us it's this deep, it's that far, you want to go here, because he'd already done it. It was awesome. So I didn't have to worry about, am I going to fall into a foot of water somewhere? Am I going to hit a rut? I don't know what's down there. Because Greg's like, there, you'll be good. And he was right every time.
Yeah.
It's sometimes very good to be able to go with someone with a little experience.
You know, and I think that even if it wasn't experience in that very particular area, going with someone who has experience off-road riding, even if it's new to both of you, builds up both of your confidences and gives you both the ability to say, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. I've got help if something goes sideways.
And I get myself into trouble, so it's good to have somebody to keep me out of it.
That's it. Yep. Roger and I did part of the MABDR, and we ended up only going through 3 sections because I had a couple of things go wrong, one with the bike, one at home. But speaking of which, does anybody know a good plumber in the area? I have a problem. I need a plumber that's not going to charge me an arm and a leg. But anyway.
Well, where I live, there's no such thing as a plumber that doesn't charge you an arm and a leg.
And that's what
it's a specialized skill with few people. They know what they got.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck.
They do, and unfortunately, they're going to charge me a fortune to fix what I need fixing now. But we did the MABDR, and there was a couple of water crossings that we went through that neither one of us had been through before. But we were like, well, we're just going to go for it. And I actually hit one. One of the problems that I had on the MABDR was I shot my brake rotor, my rear brake rotor. So, you know, of course, I have ABS that I can't shut off on the VStrom, and my brake rotor was just toast. The brake pads were toast. I don't know what happened. It locked up somewhere along the way, and I didn't even know it. But I came up on this one water crossing where it dropped down through the water and then back out. And I saw it kind of last minute. I was on section 3 at this point. I was feeling good about myself and going, you know, kind of quick. I hit that rear brake, not slowing down much. So it was okay. Well, I either stop and fall right in the water, or I just go for it. And splashing through it, of course, no cameras on. That water came up like a wave that you see in the ocean. I just disappeared from view for a minute, but I got good and clean.
If you ever get back to the MABDR, when you finish section 3, get on the highway. Okay. Skip section 4, skip section 5, get back on 6.
Okay.
4 and 5 are a slog. They take you through touristy areas. They take you through residential areas. They're like 60% in people's neighborhoods.
Really?
And section 4 actually takes you by a Civil War battlefield, which has constant traffic in and out. It's
okay.
The gentleman who designed it lives in New Jersey, and I've actually thought of stopping in to ask him, what the hell were you thinking? Because 1 through 3, good fun. 6 through 9, good fun. And in the middle, you're like, why did I leave home? Why did I come here?
So 4 and 5 are the ones to skip.
Yeah. Nice. There's very little off-road, and the off-road that they consider gravel is literally through neighborhoods. You know, houses on the right, houses on the left. I was doing 15 miles an hour on a large section of 4 because there were kids just being kids playing in the road. I'm like,
Wow.
here's some guy with his loaded motorcycle going through a residential neighborhood. This is not the back country. This is someone's neighborhood, and I'm annoying them. These people are worried that we're going to run their kids over, and they should be.
Yeah, well, I didn't experience that because we turned around at the end of section 3.
Yeah,
but,
you won't hit the bad part until you're in 5 or 4.
okay, because Roger and I have talked about that we're going to actually go up, and somebody in here had mentioned the CPAAT, Central Pennsylvania Adventure Trail, and Roger and I were thinking about trying to go up there and hit that over in Erie, Pennsylvania, and working our way across to get to section 9 of the MABDR
and then come down
south, because we figured maybe that's the best way to actually finish what we haven't done yet.
Absolutely. I've done it both up and down. I do prefer going north, but I had a lot of fun going south too. No complaints.
Yeah.
And in fact, section 8 has, I think it's Williams Road or something like that. It's actually more fun going up it, which is technically the wrong way, than going down it. It's incredibly chunky, rocky hill, which I prefer climbing them versus going down them.
Oh yeah, yeah. We hit some of that on section 3, but Greg's question here, I don't know yet. He and I have talked about it quite a bit. Neither one of us have just committed to actually doing it yet.
It's so worth it. There's so many people there, Patrick, and everybody's there for the same reason, having fun. There's good food. You don't even need to get on your motorcycle. If you just want to hang out with like-minded people, you could spend 18 hours a day and still have fun and never touch your bike. It wouldn't be necessary.
It's funny. I just told Roger that you and Greg had talked about that in the live stream you did with him just recently. And, because we have been discussing it. We're just, neither one of us have made the commitment to doing it just yet.
Bite the bullet. I'll swing by and pick you up.
I got my own bike. You don't need to pick me up.
I meant ride with you. I didn't mean put you on the back.
Yep.
Now, Zach is my buddy from South Dakota. We've spent 3 years. We go out and have a nice ride at Tim Fest, and he's coming down to the Palmetto. Very much looking forward to that, Zach.
Well, that'll be good. Yeah, I mean, and again, Roger and I have talked about it a little bit. It would be very cool to meet up with you guys, to meet up with anybody, actually. But we had talked about going and taking a long, convoluted route to get down to where the rally is actually taking place, just to have some riding and some fun before we even got there.
We followed Greg down the Scar last year. It was wonderful. It was just wonderful.
Yep.
We left Greg's house. 10 minutes later, grand old time all the way down. Just fantastic. That helps being in South Carolina. You can get there by taking the Scar, and you don't have to worry about all those pavement miles.
Exactly. And, Roger and I actually got the Scar, and we were thinking, okay, we catch it here and we can ride down on the Scar to whatever point. What's up, Goofy? We've talked about it, but we just haven't committed to it yet.
You only have till May 8th. Commit.
That's still a ways. You mean March 8th?
There's still a ways. There is.
You mean March 8th?
Oh, you're right. March. My apologies.
Yep. So, it's coming up fairly quickly now. So,
yes, the 24th. Holy shoot.
Yep, exactly. So, it'll for us, it'll probably be a very last minute decision. We'll probably even wait until we know what the weather's going to be. Because we can always go down there anytime and ride the Scar. We're close enough.
That's true.
Goofy, yes. Lego, Star Wars, all kinds of cool things back there. But as far as this area, the only way to really do it is just get your ass down here and we'll ride.
Yeah. Like I said, we'll have to go to lunch. You'll have to show me something when I'm down there in 2 weeks.
Yes, exactly. And, like I said, we can spend a day just kind of riding around. We'll find some of the cool out of the way places to get something good to eat. The paved road 209, and riding the thin lines, head just blew up when I said that. It runs between Hot Springs and over toward like Lake Junaluska in North Carolina. And it's a super windy, twisty, 29-mile long road, I think it is, called the Rattler. And
Oh, I've heard of that. I
yeah,
haven't been on it, but I have heard to go there.
right. And that road is actually almost runs parallel to the 107 with the forest in between it. So, I'll go get on 209. I'll ride on the dirt roads in the forest when I'm on the VStrom and back to 209, or on the Goldwing. There's a bunch of different shortcuts to get to 209, and it's just a fun tail of the dragon type road in some places, but with some amazing scenery along the way, running right alongside a river the whole way. It's just a fun road. And you end up in Hot Springs where there's some great eating. There's a whole bunch of different local restaurants, food trucks, little brewery. It's a neat little place. And of course, there's a couple of places along the way that are also really neat stops. So,
yeah, I'm a big fan of finding a good burger when I'm on a long ride.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And there's a couple of neat places. There's actually a store called the Trust General Store. It's right at the intersection of 63 and 209. And it's a super popular spot with all the bikers. They stop there. It's got this covered porch on the outside with all these rocking chairs. And you just sit there and you can hang out when you're not wanting to ride, or you've been riding and need a break. But they also have a restaurant in there, which I've never eaten it, because there's so many other good ones that I've always stopped there and enjoyed that.
Haven't made it there yet.
Right. I know what I'm getting from all these other ones. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to pass the place you know so well. If you know you're going to enjoy it.
Exactly. I can go to this one that I haven't been to before, and it's probably really good. Or I can go to this one that I know is really good. So
yeah, we've been in South Dakota 3 years in a row, and I will say, Zach, Tim, and I go to the same diner every morning because we know it's great. We eat at the restaurant that we know the food is great at, and tend to go, well, we know it's great. Let's just go to the one we know is great. Why risk it? We came all this way. We don't want to risk it.
Right. You go and you get something to eat, and it's not that great, but now you've eaten. You can't go to get the good stuff.
Yeah.
I will definitely check it out at some point just to see. It might be better than all the other ones. Who knows? But yeah, it's just a neat place to stop and hang out, rest up a little bit, grab a drink. They have homemade ice cream and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty good.
We have a biker place. It's a restaurant right on the border of New York and Massachusetts. So you have guys that are riding in New York will go over there. Guys riding in Massachusetts will go over there. And they've got fair to middling food. You won't complain, but it's not like you would go there if you weren't on your motorcycle. But since it's a motorcycle get together, you get to go there and talk to other guys and look at their bikes. So it raises it from, this is a good place to eat, this is a great place to eat because all the other bikers are here.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes the Trust General Store a great place to stop, even if you're not eating, is because you're going to end up in a conversation with somebody else from another group, from another bike, another rider from somewhere. And it always ends up being a good day. And the road is pretty fun to ride.
Nice. That's always my interest. If I'm going somewhere, I would prefer to meet someone else. I've talked to bikers from now in Newfoundland all the way down to the Florida Keys. If I pull in and I see somebody on a bike, I stop and say hi.
Exactly.
It's never bitten me in the ass. It's never been a bad experience. Just, hey, like-minded dude, I like his bike. Doesn't matter what bike it is. Let me go ask him what he thinks of it.
Yeah, motorcycles are the best conversation starter you
They
can ever have.
are.
Yep. Well, maybe puppies. Other than that, motorcycles.
Here's a point. I'm going to talk about this at some point in the video. Everyone on the West Coast talks about gatekeeping. And to me, I have no idea what they're talking about, because I was a downhill skier most of my life. I was a whitewater kayaker most of my adult life. And there's so much gatekeeping in that. And a lot of it has to do with, well, I'm better than you, so you shouldn't be doing this. A lot of it has to do with, this is incredibly dangerous, dude. Put that boat back into your thing and go home. But in motorcycling, I've never, ever experienced gatekeeping. I've seen people show up with a brand new 500 EXE, and there'll be 6 guys over there giving advice and saying, you just stick with me. You're going to have a good day. I've never seen a motorcyclist on the East Coast that wasn't like, hey, dude, come with us. Let's do this.
Yep.
You have experience? Great. You don't? Great.
Yep. You know, the snow skiing, I did some downhill skiing myself. And you're not going to be as open to saying, hey, come with me, because if you've been doing it for a long time and you're really good, you're going to get to the bottom of the hill. You don't want to be stopping and waiting, stopping and waiting. Oh, did he fall? Did he crash? But on the motorcycle, you don't care. You're like, I could do this road, 1,000 times. I can do it, half the time you can, but I'm going to ride with you because that's just what we do.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the good things about the motorcycling community versus a lot of the other communities that are out there.
I agree. In all the years I've been riding, I have yet to meet someone who didn't offer to help someone else. I've never seen someone not say, do you want to ride with us? Hey, where are you going? We're going that way. Why don't we go together? It's just such a community of, I don't know you from Adam, but I know you like motorcycles.
Exactly.
We're good. We're good by default. Unless you're a jerk afterwards. But dude, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because you've got 2 wheels.
Exactly.
Just such a good group of people.
That motorcycle gets the first date. It's after that to see if there's a second date.
Yeah, they may not answer your text after that one, but they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt because you own a motorcycle. Chances are you're okay.
Exactly. But all right, you're going to have to carry on the live stream for a few minutes by yourself. I've been drinking too much of this. I got to go for a second.
Oh, no.
Entertain. You can do it.
So if anybody wants to say something terrible about Patrick now, like how yellow his motorcycle is, now is the time to do it. I'm not sure if Patrick wanted to be a New York City cab driver because those are the only people that really ride anything that's yellow, unless it's a Suzuki, of course. You can have a Suzuki, a DRZ 400 can be yellow, but a yellow Honda just seems like a taxi cab with 2 wheels to me. This would help if my chat updated, but it doesn't. So my apologies for not being able to connect with Patrick earlier. That was all my fault. Patrick sent me a text saying he uses StreamYard, but I'm like, don't worry about it. It'll be so easy. Just use your phone. It was not easy. Using his phone was painful for him, and it was all my fault. Oh, man. See if I can see chat. No, I still can't see chat. I do not know what's going on here. Oh, here we go. We found chat. Payne, you've got a black Suzuki? Yes, Zach Frank is the problem. Oh my God, Jay Pauly, I have seen your bike. I didn't know it was yellow. I thought it was orange. I had no idea your Chinese bike was yellow. Though, Jay, it's probably gold. Gold is the lucky color in China, so maybe you're supposed to be gold and not yellow. All right, chat. Oh, that's the fire part. Hey, Zach, how many women are you bringing to Tim Fest now? 1 or 2?
I'm back. Everybody's still here?
I can't tell. My client doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah. Did they all leave when I left? There was a guy. I like this comment. there was a guy who lived by the tail of the dragon who ran a yellow wing. He's a little bit older. His wing was yellow like mine, but it had this windshield on it that was, I think, must have been 5 feet tall. But they called him the Yellow Wolf. And he did a whole bunch of videos back when cameras were terrible. So the quality is horrible. But that man could ride the tail of the dragon. You know, experience and skill, all of it put together. Wow. You know, some of the videos, you can look it up, Yellow Wolf on YouTube. Like I said, the quality wasn't great, but oh my gosh, that guy could ride a bike.
I fell down a rabbit hole, I think it was 2 summers ago, just watching crash videos on the Dragon.
Oh gosh. There's
It
a
was
lot
like,
of that.
I couldn't look away.
Yep.
Fortunately, none of them were terribly bad, but wow. A lot of people just pause for a moment, their brain, and then the next thing you know, you're watching their bike skid and their helmet is aimed off at the trees. Oof.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I had a motorcycle here for probably a couple of 3 years before I ever went to the tail of the dragon, because I had seen those videos.
Yeah.
And I wasn't so much worried about myself. I was worried about somebody killing me. I figured somebody somewhere is going to come around the corner in my lane in a car or on a bike. And it turns out I've been over there bunches and bunches of times. I can't even remember how many times, with tons of different people. And I've never seen a wreck.
Nice.
Never even seen the remnants of a wreck. Now I avoid weekends.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep, I avoid, you know, like rallies and stuff like that. You go in the middle of the week, earlier in the morning, you've got the road to yourself. It's
that makes sense.
And it's a fun ride. You know, I hear people all the time talk about how it's overrated, and it depends on what you're wanting out of it.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to go do it as a racetrack, yeah, it might be overrated. If you're wanting to go and cruise and see overlooks and enjoy big, long, sweeping curves like the Cherahela, it's overrated. But if you want to spend 30 minutes just flipping your bike back and forth through the twisties, it's not overrated. That's what makes the tail of the dragon the tail of the dragon. 318 curves in 11 miles. And if you do that, expecting that, it's a great ride. It's a fun ride.
Nice.
You know? If you go over there thinking, okay, I'm going to cruise the tail of the dragon at 20 miles an hour and just relax, enjoy the ride, and it's going to be a great ride, you're probably going to be disappointed. It's just a curvy road. It's just a curvy road.
Yeah.
You know, so it all depends on what you want out of it. If you want long sweeping curves with a ton of overlooks and some incredible scenery, then you're going to go to the Cherahela Skyway. But you're not going to be flipping your bike back and forth through the twisties like you do on the Dragon.
I had fun on the Cherahela Skyway. I stopped a million times and avoided getting run over by the endless stream of road glides. But it was a good fun time. Lots of views. Yeah. And it helped that I was foggy, so that did make it a little more exciting.
Yes. Yeah. I went up there. One of the first times I took Lisa on the Goldwing, we went down to North Georgia and then came back over the Cherahela. And, you know, it's 5,000 feet in elevation, so almost 6,000 feet in elevation in some places. And there was snow on the ground. And, you know, we were like, oh, we need to get out of here. You know, I took Mitchell over there one time and we went up in elevation and the temperature dropped like 30 degrees. Oops. So, you know, it just depends on what you want. You know, the Cherahela is even a road that I stop on a lot because of all the beautiful overlooks and stuff. And so, yeah, it's great fun. And all those roads are fairly close to each other. If you were to go over and stay right near the tail of the dragon and never ride the tail of the dragon, you would still have a great week of riding. The roads over there are just amazing.
Zach, a road glide is my favorite Harley Davidson, but I kid you not, there would be 18 in a row. And when you get 18 riders together, it gets kind of slow. And it's almost impossible to pass 18 riders. So it can be overload. Little
Yep.
too many road glides.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. That's when you stop and have lunch and wait and wait and wait. um, I Scott's comment there. It's just another one of those things that, like I just said, you can go over and stay near the tail dragon, never ride it, and still have an unbelievable time. Dollywood is fun. It's you must know it, living or having property in Tennessee.
I've driven past it. I haven't gone. My wife wants to.
You should. I mean, at least
it's like 2 towns away.
Yeah, it's 1 or 2 times. You should go check it out. They've got some little thrill rides, but it's just the whole atmosphere being in there and walking around.
Yeah, she wants to go for the atmosphere, to have done it.
Yep. Yeah, there's, just it's like this country cooking, country style visitation. It's worth it. A season pass, you probably get bored with it after a few, but that's kind of like with anything.
I'm old enough that amusement parks don't amuse me any longer.
Yeah.
Like, I'd go once to Dollywood, but I probably wouldn't go back. I don't even like going to Disney with my grandkids.
Well, yeah. I haven't done Disney enough to not like it.
Yeah.
But I did Dollywood enough. We had a season pass for like a year or two, and we went over there several times, and we enjoyed it. It was worth it. But you got to give yourself a few years break before you go back, so there might be something new.
Right. Oh my God, Zach! I'll bring the sissy bar bag and give it to you. You can put it on the wife's new Honda.
Yeah, he's also offering let you ride the road glide.
I'd love to ride his road glide. He brought that the first year. It's a beautiful bike. Oh my God, it's pretty.
I was just at a Harley Davidson dealer yesterday. No, I'm not buying one. With a buddy of mine who is probably going to pick up a 2022 road glide. Beautiful, beautiful bike.
Patrick, to let you know what his road glide is like. When you are in Custer, South Dakota, you're at the bottom of the Black Hills. And if you go straight across the state, you come to the most beautiful national park I've ever been to, which is the Badlands National Park. This is about 2 hours for a drive. And one of the reasons people like to ride in South Dakota is the near zero law enforcement on the roads. So we were going between Custer and the 2-hour drive, but nobody really wanted to spend 2 hours doing it. So we were going as fast as my bike could go, which was 99 miles an hour.
Wow.
At 99 miles an hour, 3 bikes back, I could still hear the lyrics from Zach's speakers without any problem at all. That's how loud his speakers are.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
It was amazing. It's just like, wow, those are speakers.
Have you ridden the Tail of the Dragon?
I have not. I have never had one of my sport bikes with me. I don't want to do it on a dual sport or an adventure bike. I went to wait until I have an FZ1 there.
I've done it on the DR650, the VStrom, of course, the Goldwing. It's fun no matter what bike you're on.
Nice.
Absolute blast. I scraped pegs on the VStrom. I mean, and not that I'm going super fast, but leaning into the corners. The reason
my wife's in the chat. I never ride super fast. Hey, Jay.
Hi. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. The reason I said that is because Goofy put the question up there. Do I think the Tail of the Dragon's overrated? And it goes back to the same comment I was making. It's only overrated if you are expecting something other than what it is.
Well, every ride, you have a responsibility to enjoy it. I mean, unless you're in traffic, you'll enjoy any twisty road as long as you're open-minded and want to.
Yep. But it's what you expect out of the Tail of the Dragon.
Yeah.
If you're going to the Tail of the Dragon and expecting one thing that's completely opposite of what the road is, you're probably going to be disappointed and think it's overrated. I don't think it's overrated because, in my opinion, if you're talking about the Tail of the Dragon, to go and lean your bike over as much as you can and then turn around and lean it the other way as much as you can, that's the road to do it. And you will do that for, many miles.
Yeah.
And so, no, I don't think it's overrated as long as that's what you're expecting. If you're expecting to go there and have these great views, there are none. If you're going there expecting to just relax and have a good, gentle, twisty ride, no. Expect to go to the tail of the dragon and expect to push yourself a little bit. Expect to lean the bike a little bit more than you might otherwise. Expect to, force yourself to come in and out of corners at a little bit more speed than what you might have other thought. That's not to say you can't ride it at 35 miles an hour like the speed limit says and have a good time. But if you do that, expecting it to be, this unbelievable fun road, you might be a little disappointed because at 35 miles an hour, it's just another road.
Gotcha.
So that's just my opinion.
Well, I would never go over the speed limit, so I'll just call it another road.
Okay, there you go. There's a bunch of people that are in the chat have been on the tail of dragon. Their opinions could be 100% different than mine. And like Jay, he won't make a special trip. It's a good ride, but he's not gonna make a special trip to do it.
Yeah.
Jay, if you come, I don't know if you've ridden all the other roads that are around, but if you come down and stay in the area and ride, Moonshiner 28, the Cherahela Skyway, you can get in North Georgia, Blood Mountain, and they have a bunch of road loops over there that are a whole lot of fun. There's a ton of riding in the area that have nothing to do with the tail of the dragon.
Jay is a Southern gentleman from the beautiful state of West Virginia, and he's not that far from any of that riding.
There you go. Yep, and he'll have to come right by me to get to it. Yeah, Payne's ride is Mike, and I've seen him ride his Victory cross country. I was behind him, and that man can ride a big bike. Holy cow, that man can ride a big bike. And yeah, he's got a newer Goldwing, one of the new generations. Yeah, he'd probably blast through the tail of the dragon so fast that he'd be waiting, half an hour for me to catch up. But yeah, it's just a curvy road.
Nothing wrong with that. Honestly, if it is a technically curvy road, it's better that there aren't views because then you're focusing on the curves, not, hey, look at that.
Yep. Yeah. You can't lose focus on that road.
No.
That's to me one of the things that makes it so special is once you get on it and you start those twisties, you better be focused.
Yeah, I focus between 100 yards and 10 yards back and forth, depending on how tight it is, and never look off the side whatsoever, just in front of me. What's the turn going to do? Is there anyone in the turn? And then occasionally check my mirror. Is there somebody coming around me faster than I'm going?
Yeah. Yep.
Not looking for the view off the road.
Right. Yeah. And, on the tail of the dragon, it doesn't even give you the opportunity to look, other than maybe the occasion going around the corner and did I see dust? Other than that, it's just a fun road. And Zach says the new Goldwings are great. I can't disagree. I won't ride one because everybody tells me if I ride one, I'll be buying it, and I don't want to be buying a new bike right now. But I do have reverse in my 2010, and it is awesome when you have 1,000-pound motorcycle. Yeah. Then Mike said I have to work on my off-road skills. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
He just bought a Mike, you're gonna kill me here, a DRZ 400, I think. He's up in Connecticut, so he's not too terribly far from New York, and he does a whole lot of, I've seen him riding things that I didn't even think were rideable. They look like just rocks out in the middle of the woods. There's no trail, but he's riding it anyway. So.
Oh yeah, you folks don't know what rocks are like. The Northeast is built on bedrock. You get rock up here like crazy. You've got to be comfortable riding over chunks of rocks the size of a football, or you're not going to ride here.
Right. Hey, I grew up in Massachusetts, right?
No, I didn't know that. That explains your lack of accent.
Yeah, I grew up in Kingston, Mass, right over near Plymouth.
Oh yeah, you're way out west. That's why. So it's flat where you are, or where you were.
Yeah, it's way east, and yeah.
Yeah, there are beautiful state parks in Western Massachusetts that are wonderful on a DRZ or a Honda CRF 250L, but I don't think they go very far into the state before it just flattens out on you.
Right. Yeah. When I grew up there, I had motorcycles, but I never had the addiction to motorcycles like I do now because it was flat. It was fairly boring. There really wasn't even a lot of twisties or anything. Um, it wasn't until I moved here into the mountains that I was like, wait a minute, this motorcycling thing is fun.
Yeah, Payne, we're all rocks and mud here in Eastern New York. People keep asking me, why do you keep riding in the mud? And I would have to respond to the comment, because it never dries up.
I don't have a choice.
But it's bedrock with some dirt on top of it. When the snow melts, it fills up. And by the time it snows the next year, it's never dried up. We have rocks and mud. That's the only terrain we have.
Yep.
Either I ride that or I don't ride.
And that's what I see Mike doing a lot of on that DRZ. He goes out there and boy, he hammers the crap out of that thing, as Greg would say. But
well, the DRZ is the grandfather of dual sports. People have been riding that for 20 years because it'll still go anywhere.
Yep.
318 pounds, it'll go up anything and down anything you want to.
Yep. Yeah, and for Zach, I lived right where, Cape Cod joined the mainland, and I've been out to Cape Cod a million times growing up out there, and it's a great area, but I much prefer living here. My winters are much shorter. I get a lot of 60 and 70 degree days in the middle of the winter, very little snow, so I'll stay here.
Scott, I've had both. If you want to ride off-road, a DRZ is so much better. But God help you if you have to ride on the road at all. If you want something that'll do the road fairly well and off-road fairly well, a KLR. But if you really want to ride the dirt, just get a DRZ. Don't even think about a KLR as a dedicated off-road bike. It's too heavy. By the time I was lifting mine for the 5th time of a day, I would just turn around and go home. You can lift a DRZ all day long.
Right. Yep. I suppose that depends on the person too. The Payne's ride, he would probably have no problem with the KLR. He's a big dude. That KLR, he could lift it up like you and I could lift up a DRZ.
Payne's, I was in Moab last year, end of September, and it's mostly flat. You're going to have to work hard to find any rocks that aren't packed down, but it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I would go there tomorrow if I had the time and money. Just beautiful. And ruts, 3-foot deep ruts. I was riding down a road on my 790 Adventure R, and if I fell to the right, I was going to be 1.5 feet down into a rut, and if I went to the left, I'd be 1.5 feet down in the rut. It was awesome.
I've seen so many videos. I want to get out there at some point, real bad.
The problem is, you almost have to have a dual sport, because there's so many places that get so rough so fast that you're going to want to go, and you're not going to take a VStrom. I wasn't going to take my 790 Adventure R. It's like, this is not the road to go down on a 450, 500-pound bike.
Okay.
You want a 250 to 300-pound bike.
That's good to know because I don't have one. My plan was if I was able to get out there, I was going to be bringing the VStrom, and apparently I'd be leaving it there, huh?
It's not that you won't have fun. It's just that you're gonna be riding and you're gonna look to the left and you're gonna be like, oh man, I'd like to do that. But your brain is gonna tell you this is a bad idea. Don't take this bike there.
Don't do that.
The bike is too heavy. Don't do it.
Yeah, I just the videos and stuff I see out there. I have so many places out west that I want to go and visit that you have, that others have. That I just haven't got out there yet, and
it's so different.
Yeah.
If you can get to the forests of Oregon and Washington in their national parks and it's just so beautiful. We just don't have anything like it here. It's just beautiful. Yep. Provided it's not covered with smoke. But even I was there when it was covered in smoke. It was still stunningly beautiful. Yep. It was still worth going across the country.
Well, and that's the thing for me too, is not only to see there at the other end of the country, but the vast differences in terrain between here and there. I mean, the desert Southwest and, just the plains.
Do you want to be disappointed, Patrick?
Well, no.
I'm going to disappoint you anyway.
Okay.
Half of the country is flat and boring. I've crossed the country twice now.
Yep.
Man, there's so much of it that's flat and boring.
I visited my grandmother in Iowa years ago in the car, and my brother was with me, and he kept falling asleep. He'd wake up a couple hours later, and I'd say, "We didn't move," because it looked exactly the same.
Yeah.
It was super boring. So I always said if I was going to ride across country, I'd have to find a way to do it to make it as interesting as possible.
You have to take the TAT from Tennessee to the other side of Oklahoma, maybe?
Okay.
Because if you don't do the TAT, no one's mapped it out, and you're going to be forced to take really boring roads. Yes, like Zach said, if you're not on the TAT, you might as well just take 40 or 10.
Yep.
Because it's a whole lot of nothing, just flat nothing. You can close your eyes for 10 minutes, open them back up. Yeah, I'm still here.
Yep. And I've heard that. I've seen that in videos. I've heard that with different people and that's one of the reasons why I really haven't put the effort into going.
Yeah.
There is so much of the boring stuff to get through. Roger
I went across the country, across the top of the US the first time. And for the second time, I'm like, well, I'm not doing that again. So I went through the center of the country, and that was better, but it wasn't good. It was still boring watching oil wells and cornfields and wheat fields. That's it. That's all there was for 2 days.
Okay. Yeah. Roger and I have talked about if we were going to do a out west ride, we might just trailer bikes, whatever bikes we decide to bring, and just hammer the crap out of it until we get to the good stuff.
I mean, honestly, though, if you have a buddy with you, you can hop on comms and you can pass hours away. Keep in mind, I'm criticizing it, but I was alone. It was just me and my own thoughts for days of boring riding. It's different if I had somebody with me. That would be an entirely different experience.
Yeah, me and my own thoughts are a dangerous thing. But yeah, I do think that going with someone would make it better, but it's still flat, straight.
You need to make sure your buddy is good at conversation, because God knows you're not going to see anything that interests you after the first 2 hours, because it's all the same for 2 more days.
Right. Yeah. So Roger, if you're still watching, you're out.
Patrick, I was so excited when I first saw they have these old oil pumps like you would see in TV shows in the 70s. They still have those in the center of the country. It's bizarre. And the first 2 or 3 I saw, I was like, that is so cool. And then I saw 300 more, and it wasn't cool anymore. It gets old remarkably fast. Even when you see something you've never seen before, it gets old remarkably fast on a perfectly flat road.
Yeah, I imagine. It would just be so boring. I mean, just the drive I took, and I only went to Iowa. I can't imagine if I tried to keep going. So
I was calling my wife on the car, though. I was calling friends, and she's like, "Oh, I just hate being out here. How are you? Is it raining? Oh man, that sounds good. What's the weather like? Cold? Yeah, that sounds good too."
Yeah, just talk to me. Talk to me.
Exactly. Get my mind off the fact that I haven't seen a hill in 12 hours.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of stuff that I want to see and do, but I also know there's a lot of stuff that I'm not going to enjoy.
Yeah. The very best way to do it is ship your bike out.
Right.
I know guys that ship their bike every year to Deadwood for the Harley rally, and I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. It really does.
Yep. Now, Roger does bring up a good point. You've done it a couple of times now, and he and I haven't. So there is the idea that, yeah, it will be boring, but I've never seen it on a bike, so maybe I should at least.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, everyone's different. And again, like I said, I was by myself both times. I think that if I had someone I enjoyed their company with, it would have been infinitely more enjoyable. If for nothing else, then we'd both laugh at each other for being stuck in the middle of nowhere looking at nothing. You know,
Yeah.
another person makes all the difference.
Well, you know, Zach sounds like he'd be kind of fun talking about flying monkeys and gold roads, you know?
Yep.
You just need to get a scarecrow and a tin man, you know, all that good stuff.
Oh, the Northeast BDR is great, Matt. I live literally 30 minutes from it, and I've never done the whole thing. I've done pieces of it 100 times. I've never started at the beginning and run to the end.
So, where in New York are you? You like in the north part, middle, south?
You know, it's hard to say because no one can agree to how to call things in New York. Have you ever seen Albany on a map? It's about 40% up from the bottom of the state.
Okay.
I'm just outside of that.
So you're like at the base of the mountains.
I'm at the base of the Adirondack Mountains, and I'm at the top of the Catskill Mountains. We're in what's called the Hudson Valley, in between the two mountainous areas of New York.
Okay.
I am 15 minutes from the Massachusetts border.
Nice. Yep. And where I lived in Massachusetts, I was probably 4 hours, 5 hours.
Oh yeah, at least. Yeah.
Border. So yeah.
So that means you've never been to the tallest point in Massachusetts, which is about 45 minutes from me at a whopping 1,100 feet, I think.
You know, I think that way back when in like one of the church youth groups that we took a weekend trip out there. But I don't know. I can't remember exactly if we did go up to the highest peak. I know we were out near Agawam. Back then there was
Agawam's pretty far to the south from the peak.
Okay.
I think it's called Mount Greylock.
Greylock. Yeah, that makes sense because I think that's on the new. Oh, Roger, help me out here. Pineapple. There's a new route a guy created that does go up over the top of Mount Greylock.
The Northeast BDR goes to Greylock, one of the roundabouts, you know, where the BDRs all have hey, there's this little place you can take to see something. Mount Greylock is one of them.
Okay.
So Matt's probably seen Mount Greylock, and it is a beautiful view. It really is.
I've seen.
Yes, I did go to Agawam with the wife.
This route, this guy just created. You know how they do all these Smoky Mountain 500s and all that. Payne got it. Mike got it. The Piccadilly Pineapple Trail.
I've not heard of that. I can look for that. It's
fairly new, but it goes right up over Greylock. It's part of the route. You don't have to deviate. It's actually on the route. One of the things that Roger and I do a lot is we look for these created routes because then we don't have to think about it. We can just get on the route and follow it and see some of these amazing places. And wow, there are so many.
Hey, Matt, I need to post it on my YouTube channel sometime. The wife and I were up on Mount Greylock, and a guy was asking for people's help to jump off the mountain, and nobody would help him, so I did. And I had my GoPro with me, so I put it on. And I spent about 10 minutes helping a guy get his sailing suit ready, and then he jumped off the mountain. It was awesome to see. It was in the right place at the right time.
You do know that people have gone to jail for assisting others or encouraging others to do stuff like that, right?
I'm sure they have. But I wanted to see a man jump off a mountain, Patrick, and I got to.
You did, and
if I didn't help him, he would not have jumped off the mountain.
How come we haven't seen the video, like Zach said?
Because I didn't want to get in trouble for having a guy. I was waiting to see if he got arrested first.
Or survived.
Yeah. Well, I knew he survived. We stayed there and we watched him go around the mountain for like 30 minutes and then land. So I knew he survived, but I'm not sure he didn't get arrested later. But I kept the footage.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're going to be down in this area in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I should be there on the 15th, 16th. My wife needs me there, so I'll be there then.
Okay. Well, if you can break away from her for a little bit, we'll have to get together.
Absolutely.
And do a little bit of riding. I assume you're bringing a bike.
Oh, are you kidding? I'm bringing a bike and I have two there already.
Okay. Good, good.
I'm not sure what I'm going to ride to Palmetto yet, but all of my bikes will be sitting in Tennessee at the time, so I'll get there on something.
You'll have a wide variety to choose from.
Exactly.
And so, uh, Scott, Jay Pauly said he's retiring in 2027. All I can say is it's going to be a long 3 years. My last 3 years went by so slow because I was anticipating that retirement. But once you get there, it is worth it.
My wife's been trying to get me to close the company for 2 years. I'm still working. What's this retirement you speak of?
Yeah. It accounts for a lot of miles on 2 wheels. How's that?
Yeah.
So, Zach,
you're welcome to ride any of my bikes, but honestly, I think the 250 is too small. I couldn't keep up. I wouldn't be able to keep up with the group, Zach. Oh, South Carolina. Yes, if I bring it to South Carolina, you're welcome to take it. I could never bring it to Tim Fest in South Dakota. That's just too much.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Zach and I ride the speed limit, but everybody else is crazy out there.
Yeah. I know that's only because your wife is watching.
Exactly.
Did she hear the part where you said you were going 99 miles an hour and you could still hear the guy's lyrics?
I'm sure she didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's right. When she came in, that was her first comment. That's how I knew she was there.
I love it. But
Zach, my 250 is upgraded to 286, but I'd say it's still probably 5 or so horsepower lower than yours. Your 310 is absolutely faster than my 286.
Okay. Yeah. Make Our Mountain Home said, yeah, she heard you. And
she did.
Yep. And Zach says,
I'm 800 miles away from her right now. She can't hurt me too badly unless she goes out and sets fire to my motorcycles.
Oh, which one were you riding that you're doing 99 miles an hour?
The one that's with me.
Okay.
The Honda's much lighter. I'd say it's 40, 50 pounds lighter, Zach.
So how much does it weigh?
I stripped a lot of weight off it. It's 215.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's light. That's very light.
Yeah. Well, it's my off-road bike. I don't ride hard enough to need a true dirt bike, so I just bought a Honda 250.
Right.
It goes as fast as I ever want to go off-road. It'll take me everywhere I ever want to go, and it costs 1/3 what a good dirt bike does.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Roger's been talking about getting like a 350 or a 450, to go in addition to his Africa Twin.
Yeah. I mean, I've ridden the 350 and the 500 KTM, and they're wonderful. But honestly, I don't have the skill or the youth to take advantage of it, so I'm sure as hell not going to pay for it.
Right.
Yep. It's like you get on one once or twice a year when somebody offers, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. And then it's like, but I can't really ride like this all the time, so I don't need a $10,000 dirt bike.
Yeah, I had a DR 650 and I loved that bike, but I wasn't using it for what it was, built for. I at that time, especially, it was flat, easy gravel roads. And when I did start to do some of the motorcycle travel, that bike just was,
that fifth gear makes you wonder why you're on the highway.
Yeah. And so I went to the VStrom, and of course, the more riding I do off-road, the more I do push it a little bit, but it still does what I'm capable of doing. It's a more capable bike than what I am capable of.
And that's exactly where you want to be.
Yep.
If you decide this is how far I want to go, and that bike goes a little bit farther, that's all you need.
Yeah.
You don't need more.
Exactly.
I already told my wife I put a deposit on my next bike. I'm just waiting for it to be released. So, Zach, as of right now, I have a deposit on the new CF Moto 450. They tell me it will arrive in August. So if it does, I'll take that to Tim Fest. All depends on the release date.
Yeah. You better be careful.
You know, my wife has never, ever said no to a motorcycle.
That's good.
She's never, ever hindered my hobbies.
Is that kind of like what I do? I ask for forgiveness rather than permission. Is that why you never got?
I don't ask for permission anymore, and I don't have to ask for forgiveness. Again, she never has hindered my hobbies. Like I said earlier, I spent a ton of money and time downhill skiing. I spent an extreme amount of money and time kayaking, but my wife has never had a problem with me enjoying myself.
That's good. That's good.
Then I have to buy one of those too, Matt, and then I'll have to ask for forgiveness.
Right. Yeah, my wife's the same way. She, even with the whole traveling and going to all the different moto meetups and stuff like that, she's like, just go. You need it. It's your fun. Go do it. She doesn't like people much, so she doesn't go along with me, but she doesn't hinder me from going and doing a lot of that stuff.
Good. Then she'll be okay when you go to the Palmetto ADV Fest.
She would be okay if I go to the Palmetto ADV Fest. I just haven't decided yet. But
that's a good idea, Zach.
There you go. I do the dual vlog thing a lot too. It makes for fun videos sometimes. Sometimes it's unusable, but sometimes it's fun. But all right, Frank. Well, it's going to be about 7:45. We got a rocky start, but
my apologies. We should have just gone with StreamYard. It worked perfectly.
Only because I know it. I'm sure the other way would have worked if I knew what I was doing. But so I'll take.
I don't think it was you. I think it was just we couldn't get the Android and the iPhone to cooperate at the same time.
Right.
It is what it is.
So we know from now
Thanks for having me on, Patrick. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for setting this up and making it happen. I really appreciate it. I had a good time.
Excellent.
Once we got past that beginning, I had a good time.
It was only 20 minutes.
Right, that's all.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate seeing all of your chat that I could see.
Yep. I too love seeing all the comments and questions and the back and forth. I think that's fantastic. And hopefully we can do this again fairly soon. And maybe the next
starting with StreamYards.
Yes. Starting with StreamYards. Hopefully the next time we do this, I will have met you in person.
Absolutely, unless it pours rain on us and neither one of us wants to ride in 2 weeks.
Right, exactly. So awesome, Frank. Thanks.
All right, take care, everyone. Thanks for having me on, Patrick.
Bye, everybody.